Avocados, one of the most delicious vegetables. It's actually a fruit off of a tree, but this is one of those vegetables that everybody loves to have. So I'm going to show you how to pick it really well today when you go to the store. Most people know this, that you sit it in your palm of your hand. You put the large end at your palm of your hand, and you just kind of squeeze it. And if it gives a little and it doesn't feel like a rock, it's good enough to buy for now. The other way you can definitely be sure that it's ripe is you see the little knob on the end where it came off the tree? If you take that and you peel it off, which comes off pretty easily, you can see the color in there. If it's really hard to get out, that means it's not ripe. If it comes out and it's green inside like this one, that means it's ripe. If I took it off or if it came off really easily and that was brown inside, that would mean it's past ripe. The other way you know that it's past ripe is that if you shake it and it shakes, you can hear like a little rattle in there. That means that the pit has separated from the meat of the avocado, and that is past ripe. And then if you pick it up and it's just a squishy full of stuff, you know, like it's a handful of squishy stuff inside a leather case, then you don't want to buy that either. The peak season for avocados is December through April, but they're actually available all year round. And most of almost all of the avocados come from California that are in the United States. So I also want now to tell you that there's different kinds of avocados. Not all of them are literally like lumpy and alligatory as this one. And sometimes they've been called alligator pears because of this texture that's on their skin. But there are smooth ones. They're in all the degrees in between. So it depends on what kind your store has in. So now, how do you open it and how do you get to eat it? That's the important part. So what I do is I go around this way. Some people go around the other way. I find this way easier. So I'm going to go around the broad way. And I just turn it on the cutting board because then I find that the seed is easier to get out. And then you can cut this part, turn it face down, and just cut it in half. And there you have a quarter of an avocado. Now, how do you get the seed out? Most people like to do it this way. And if this is a great way, but except for if you're using this with kids, I don't think you should teach them this way. Because you can go like this and it comes out. You just kind of tap your knife into it and it'll come out. And there is the pit, that they call it. Okay, and then I can go ahead and do this one this way and cut it again this way. And then I've got quarters. And I find they're much easier to peel if they are in quarters. Now that's assuming, of course, that this is going to work for the dish or the way you want to serve it. If it's a ripe one, you take one corner and you can just peel it off. If it wasn't as ripe as it could be, it would still probably taste good, and you might have to get a knife and actually peel it instead of pulling it off like these. And it's real easy to do. Now I'm using a stainless steel knife so it doesn't discolor, because once this is exposed to air, they do start to discolor. And if you wanted to serve them in a little while and you just wanted them to be avocado, then what I would do is I mix in a bowl, some vinegar and oil. This is the oil, and I kind of coat the bottom, and then I put some vinegar in it. And you know, it's not very much vinegar, but you need some in there to make it, that's what really keeps it from turning brown, as does being in the oil, so that it coats it, so it's not exposed to the air anymore. So if this was the size I wanted to make them, these that I have peeled, I would just throw them in there and then coat them up. And then that would be good for like if you wanted to put it on pizza, if you wanted to eat it in a salad, then it's already coated and you don't have to worry about them turning brown. I usually add them about one at a time because in that way I can be sure I can watch the one that needs to be the most oil on it. And that's a very fast way to take care of it, and you're not in the black avocados, which, not that they don't taste too bad, but they don't look very good at all. Okay? So that was a really nice avocado. It didn't have any black marks inside. If it had, I would have just cut those off and used the parts that weren't black, because you really want to have the green. And the colors of this one was really nice. You see how it's got the green in the middle, and green on the edges, and the yellow in the middle. That's like the perfect avocado. Now you can also cut it the other way the long way. Let's see if this one is as nice. I did my little tricks on these, and these all said they were nice and ripe. And there it is. And that's the long way, and this may be the way you'd want to have it served if you wanted to show slices. Oh, that one's a little tougher to get out. So what I do is I cut this one around again. I pull it off, and then you just take the seed out. There it is. Okay. Now this one has a little bad spot here at the top, so I'm just going to cut that off. And then I'm going to peel them because I can tell that it's going to come right off. Now you do the same thing. You need to be sure that you get these covered in something so they don't turn black. And you could just put them in the same oil, or instead of putting them in the oil and then tossing them, like my aunt used to do. She's the one that made me fall in love with avocados when I was young. Is that she would just take her oil and vinegar and she'd have a whole plate full, and she would just drizzle the oil and vinegar on them. And then she always had these concoctions of all the, and they sit right there in the little dip it has. And then she would put salt and pepper and probably some secret ingredients. That was the kind of cook she was. And just a little tab of, okay, get it out, vinegar. Whoops. And in that way, they were free from that also. Avocados can be kept in the kitchen on at room temperature for a few days until they are all ripe, and then you can keep them in the fridge for about 10 days. And they're one of the very few fruits that happens to have fat in it, but they're very high in B5, B6, folate, and vitamin C. And it's well worth your time to try to have these. And then the one last trick is I want to show you how to mash it, because a lot of people think of this as guacamole. And you just peel it and you can mash it. And if you want to make a really fast guacamole, you take your mashed stuff, you add it to a couple of tablespoons of ranch dressing, and you'll have a whole avocado in here, and you mix that up, and oh, is that good. So go to my website. I have some dips out there on my website for you for your avocados. And please try this fruit vegetable. Some people call it vegetable, some people call it fruit. It's a fruit. So, and we'll see you next time.